St Dúlac was reputedly an anchorite monk. The term anchorite refers to someone who, for religious reasons, withdraws from secular society so to lead an intensely devoted and prayerful life. Unlike hermits, anchorites were required to take a vow of stability of place, opting for permanent enclosure in cells often attached to churches. Anchorites were also subject to a religious rite of consecration that closely resembled the funeral rite. Interesting to note, the anchorite monks were actually a rite of the Eastern Christian Church and not the Western Christian Church. They were found in the East, Damascus, Syria, and down into Egypt. Anchorites lived far apart in a place which was deserted, or dysart, or desert, and we have quite a few of those in Ireland. This extreme form of the anchorite life that was described at Mariana Scotus in the 11th century, Irish anchorite and chronicler, and I'll read his description of the life of the anchorite. A natural rule that is the abode of an anchorite should be built of stone measuring 12 feet in length and as many in breadth. It should have 3 windows, one facing the choir through which he may receive the body of Christ, another on the opposite side through which he may receive his food, and a third to admit light, but should be filled with glass or horn. The windows through which he receives his food should be secured with a bolt, and with a glazed lattice which can be opened and closed, because no one should be able to look in, except so far as the glass will allow, nor should the recluse be able to look out. He should be provided with 3 articles, namely a jar, a towel and a cup. After matins he is to lay the cup and the jar outside the window and close it. About noon he is to come over and see if his dinner be there. If it be, he is to sit down at the window and eat and drink. When he's done, whatever remains is to be left outside for anyone who may choose to remove it, but is to take no thought for the morrow. But if it should happen there's nothing for his dinner, then he must not omit to return his accustomed thanks to God, though he is to remain without food until the following day. His garments are to be a gown and a cap which he is to wear waking and sleeping. In winter, if the severity of the weather require, he may, with his pastor's license, wear a woolly cloak, because he is not allowed to have any fire except what his candle provides. He is to be provided with a cotton pallet and a bolster. 3 times a week he is to fast on bread and water, namely Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. On the other days he may eat 1 Lenten dish, pears and apples if he has any, and on Sundays and principal festivals he may use milk. He is to observe silence between noon and evening, however he may speak if he wishes. During this period, when he lived in this space of 12 feet by 12 feet, he was expected to dig his own grave and live beside his own grave for the remainder of his life. The reality for Irish anchorites is likely to have been somewhat different. In Ireland, anchorite cells were usually attached to a church, from which its community, the anchorites, sought sustenance and support in their life of solitude, meditation and prayer. The last reference to an anchorite having lived here at St Dúlac was in 1406, when the Archbishop of Armagh, Nicholas Fleming, granted indulgences to all pilgrims who visit St Dúlac's church, confesses their sins, do penance, and give alms to the anchorite Sir Eustace Roche, who resided in this cell.